lot of people think that they're spending money on a house. I always try to equate looking at a house like your 401k. Like, do you feel bad when you put money into your 401k every month?
Regardless, people get spring fever, been sitting in their house all winter. Now you have a bunch of buyers that want to buy, and you have a bunch of sellers that need to sell, and the market gets hot. What's up, everybody? This is a special edition of the It's Your Neighbor podcast, and it's Tobin time today.
It's Tobin time. What's up, guys? This is Anthony Alvarado, CMO at Take Action Realty, and your co-host here at It's Your Neighbor podcast.
I forgot to introduce myself. I'm not Tobin time. I'm Monty.
Yes, this is Monty Raymond, if people don't know. So this is It's Your Neighbor podcast, back interviewing neighbors from the community that make this place so awesome to live. Later on in this episode, what we're going to be doing is actually talking a little bit more about the real estate market here in Wisconsin. So we're going to be hitting on things like high interest rates, mortgage rates. We're going to be jumping into low inventory. We're going to even be talking about some headline news and responding to what's happening across the country. So please tune in at the end of the episode. But before I go any further, Monty, introduce our guests.
Yes, we have Justin Scott, the broker that brought me here. Inside joke from Detroit conference last week, but Justin Scott is the broker over at Executive Mortgage, and Chris Tobin, who we referenced as Tobin time.
Tobin time. Let's
Chris
go.
Tobin is here,
Thank
who's
you for
also
that.
a mortgage lender as well. And there's some great dudes. So we're going to screw around a little bit here on this podcast. But you know what? If education isn't fun, then why do it, right?
Yeah, special segment for the week. So this one's going to be a little bit shorter, so let's just jump into it. What are you guys all about? If I don't know anything about Executive Mortgage, what do you say?
Well, the name says it all, mortgage.
Yeah.
But, I would say
That's good marketing.
I'd like to think that we're not just your typical mortgage company. When it comes to how we present ourselves in the community, we want to take an educational standpoint. We found out that over 1 in 3 people think that all lenders have the same rates and same costs. Did you know that?
No kidding.
That's really scary.
I kind of thought that actually still, even as a broker.
Can you say
like
that
I
one more
know
time?
better, but
1 in 3 people think that all lenders have the same set of rates and same costs.
No kidding.
oh no, I knew that not cost, but I thought rates were, and again, this is great to start with, but
Yeah,
I always kind of
absolutely.
thought like, I guess there's probably a little fluctuation in rates, but not a lot, unless you have bad credit or something. Then I know rates go a lot higher. But I mean, maybe we get into teaching right off the bat, like what's prime, like what are those kind of things.
Well, I mean, we all get our money from the same people. Federal Reserve sets the cost of money to everyone from all the banks to all the little guys. It's just who marks it up more before it gets to you. That's really how it works. So you're going to find some institutions that have heavier overhead, lots of regional managers, et cetera. They have a lot more people to pay in their company. You're going to have to mark your rates up to support that overhead. We're just 15 people, 28 years in a little pink building on Walnut Street.
Nice. Almost 30 years.
Yeah,
Man.
almost 30. The people that we originally
Yeah.
did are almost paying off their mortgages.
Yeah, that's true. Unless they moved again.
yeah, but then they should call us.
Yeah, which they've
Yeah,
moved
we would
probably 4 times. And statistics are people move about once every 7 years. That's
Yep.
the average.
Right.
So you guys have done mortgages, hopefully 4 times for people.
Right.
Hopefully more, actually.
Well, yeah.
If you want to buy
Throwing it
investment
right.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
Tobin just slays it with mortgages. So.
I try.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself as well?
My name's Chris. I'm with Executive Mortgage as well. I work for Justin, great boss, and
Yeah, he has to say that.
I'm forced to say it.
It's always good when the boss
say
is
it.
in the room.
I get fired if I don't promote him, but I love working for the company. We do a lot of great things in the community. Some volunteer work. We were talking about rebuilding together earlier today, where we help elderly people, disabled people in the area just fix up their house so that they can stay in them. You know, just safety stuff for the most part. We're doing food trucks at our office on Fridays, which has
Very
been
nice.
which has been a big hit.
Every Friday through April, we got Blue Suede and Taco Tones right now.
Nice.
So if you guys want to come down, I mean,
I'm a
just
sucker
find
for
yourself getting a
tacos,
taco bot
you know.
for you.
Yeah.
909 East Walnut.
909
See ya.
Let's go. Let's go.
I love it. Well, that's a great concept. How did you get to that
Yeah.
point of like why is a taco truck or a food truck on Fridays? Is it just to get people in the parking lot and to see Executive Mortgage, or what was the reason and what was your thought behind serving tacos?
Well,
Or
originally it wasn't my thought, but the company, when I bought the company in 2021, I was like, I have an opportunity to like integrate with a ton of people. You know what I mean? I have a lot of friends that are in small businesses, and I was like, how can we just synergy? How can we use you, use us, you know?
Yeah.
Because with a mortgage, it's not about like, hey, you want to go buy a house? It's about just brand awareness. We're here when you want to talk. So we had hired a new loan officer, Joliska Hayes, and she was friends with a food truck out of Kimberly, Goalie and Eve. And she just brought the idea up. And I was like, as long as we can get free lunch on Fridays.
Yeah, right.
So, and then it turned into like, well, if we're having all these people come in, it's an opportunity to just explain that we're here, you know? So we have a really cool building. It's a 140-year-old Queen Victorian home. It's all brick, literally painted pink.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
miss
very-
it.
You
Can't
can't
miss
miss it. You really can't. I mean, and so we thought more people come up, just like admire the building, talk to people, you know, brand awareness.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we get free food.
Exactly.
So I like
Exactly. The
that.
team gets to hang out, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
So we'll probably come on over
You
one of these
should,
times
yeah.
for sure.
I mean,
That'd be awesome.
I'm in.
promise we won't charge you double.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, food truck food is great most of the time. I mean, there's a few bad eggs, but most of the time, it's like I'd rather have a food truck food than a restaurant food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen.
Our
Amen
goal
to
is
that.
just to have someone there at least every week for the summer.
Nice. So what does the normal day to day look like for you guys outside of Fridays?
Well, contrary to popular belief, we do not play golf and hang out at the bars and do lunches with everybody all day long. We actually do work. So,
What? You guys do work?
yeah, believe it or not, we do.
Nice.
I personally, I come in, I pretty much live there. I come in about 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Just get all that stuff done, like paperwork, bills paid, check on emails. Then everybody else comes in, and I kind of do my rounds. I see how everybody's doing, try to keep everybody in kind of a spirit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Our culture has been really good, and Chris has been a huge part of that.
Yeah.
So really, it's just more about taking the day as it comes.
Yeah. Speaking about culture, what are some of the other things that are making it pretty sweet? I mean, you've already talked about, you have other initiatives going on, caring about the community through rebuilding together.
Right.
You have Friday meetups. I mean, obviously you hang out with this guy and play golf. I mean,
And go to bars.
Yeah,
Go to the bars,
and go to the bars, of course. Yeah, I mean, it is Green Bay, so. But culturally, I think Justin's done a really good job of surrounding everybody in that office with people that they get along with.
Yeah.
we
That's
could-
important.
Like I in the past, I worked for a bank. I'm not going to say which bank, but it was cutthroat. It's like no help from anybody. It's like sink or swim. You learn it. This is a whole different environment. It's like we're bouncing ideas off of each other, and making sure that we're looking at the loan right. We want this to be a smooth process for the customer. And being able to bounce those ideas off and have that culture. If we're missing something, somebody's going to tell me I'm missing something. It's like, dude, you're close, but you do this or this, and you got a nice smooth deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the ultimate thing. We want to make Monty and his team when we're working with them or any other realtor. We want to make the smooth process all about the customer experience.
And you guys do a great job of that too. I think
You guys do too.
we're doing one right now, Justin and I, and I mean, first of all, our client's amazing. She gets
She is
everything
awesome.
in right away, immediately. Like
Before I even ask sometimes.
sometimes, yeah, she's already got a closing set and everything. So she's incredible. But the fact that like you guys do a great job of just step by step every single thing, and it's more personalized than a lot of other lenders do it. Like sometimes we're begging for certain documents or whatever, and it's like, nope, you're clear on what you're sending over. Oh, this is a loan commitment or this is the appraisal. It's done. Everything is good, and it's smooth.
And you show appreciation. I mean, even just
That's what it's all about.
the collaboration that we've had. I mean,
Right.
for anybody who's listening, can you explain a little bit more of how we've partnered up with these guys and what that looks like today?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other. I mean, first of all, they were awesome and took us on a field trip last week, and a learning experience, and we had fun too. But it was, they brought us to a United Wholesale Mortgage in Detroit or Auburn Hills, and it's a massive. Like the scale of this place is incredible. It's like one of those things where you have to go and actually see it. But to listen to their speakers talk and to understand the mortgage process a little bit more for real estate agents, that's really important. That's what lenders are supposed to do, is to be educational partners. Obviously, we can collaborate in events, and we're certainly here in the studio today to educate and bring that on. But there's other things that we're going to be doing together down the road, events and other stuff. And we may, do a trade a taco day or something like that or whatever and do it over here. But it's really cool because you're working with people you get along really well with, you have fun with, and at the same time you're getting the job done. You're not just screwing around the whole time.
Doesn't seem like work when you do it that way.
Exactly. It's really not.
Well, when I hire new people, I have a quality over quantity concept. And I think that's just smart. I'd rather have one person that does the work of 5 people than vice versa.
I call it the
Thank
gym
you for
teacher
saying that,
approach.
everybody. Like, I do plan everybody's personalities. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't fit the mold, then, you know, maybe it would be a better fit somewhere else. But
Always the case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
people,
Same thing for our realtors. You know, here
exactly
too,
what I was
right?
going to say is like one of the reasons we're attracted to you, and I think the business will grow is just simply because you guys share that concept. I don't want people working with people that you don't
So it's
like.
not because of my good looks.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I mean, we were debating that earlier.
No comment from this side of the table. Yeah.
So since we touched on it, what are some of the things that you have coming up this year that you're really excited about? Because I mean, we could talk about a ton of stuff that we're doing over here.
We have so many things.
that we thought you guys would probably appreciate. Of course, we have upcoming events and all the things, but I know you have your own thing going on, and we love you guys coming up on social media, even seeing the clients you're working with, and you're out there doing things. So
Trying
maybe
to.
speak to that, right?
I think you should, let's bring up the theater thing. I'll let you talk about that first.
The
From a
theater?
community standpoint, the movie that we're doing for the community. Free movie at the Real.
Oh yeah. So
Maybe you should have talked about
I
it.
guess maybe I should have talked
no, I
about
was
this.
like, which marketing scheme are you talking about? On April 15th, I thought like, hey, that sucks. That's a bad day of the year, tax day. So let's throw a movie, a client appreciation movie. We rented out to Pier Cinema. We did an Eventbrite.
Yeah.
And what I'd like to do is I kind of got a system in place, and I worked with the lady that owns it. We can get some preferred time. We can show whatever movie we want. We got like a little 1 minute thank you thing going through in the beginning, and then we're showing the movie Wish free for all clients. And
That's awesome.
in 2 weeks, 170 seats sold out. I mean, didn't sell out. They were given. But yeah, and it's
Signed
gonna
up
be
for.
signed up for. Thank you.
Right?
And,
170 people. That's
yeah,
good
and
attendance.
It should be. It should be. And not all of them are us either.
That's good.
That is good. And we are doing a little side thing where if people want to bring like toothpaste, toothbrush, shoes, hats, whatever, it goes to the Desert Vets.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing some stuff with the Desert Vets this year too.
Yeah, they're really easy to work with. They're like that.
Yep.
So I know there's a lot of talk in the news. There's a lot of conversation going on about the real estate market in general. So let's do some caveats.
Yeah.
There's some stuff that we're going to talk about today and some stuff we're not really going to talk about today. And so
Save those questions for the next one.
Right, we'll save it for the next one, but the market is always going to shift. So can you just talk a little bit about that? I mean, this is always going to change.
Yeah.
So let's just
I mean,
start
by
that
the
conversation.
time this launches, is going to be like peak selling season, is what we call it. You know, and that's really like March through mid-June, end of June, something like that is really like the peak time in real estate. So, regardless, people get that spring fever. They're like been sitting in their house all winter. They didn't want to move in the winter because that's a pain in the ass. Although this year would have been a great time to move, but they don't want to move. So now you have a bunch of buyers that want to buy, and you have a bunch of sellers that need to sell, and the market gets hot. This is what I would consider this a normal market. Like during the last 4 years, maybe 3 years prior, it was nuts. It was like, you know, it didn't matter. It was spring season all year round.
No sleep.
Yeah, interest rates were in the 2s and 3s.
no
and,
rest for the wicked. Let's
all
go.
that other stuff. So this is the time of year. If you're thinking about selling, this is where you're going to get the most bang for your buck this time of year. Or, you know, and I'm not going to say to wait because home prices still haven't gone down at all. And everybody predicted there's going to be this bubble. And
There's no bubble.
there's not.
There's no bubble.
There's
Not
no
even-
bubble. It's
there's
not
no-
popping.
We're not even going to see a huge drop in rates.
No.
Right now, the economy is walking on its own 2 legs. They've stopped manipulating the market. And if you look back on the last 30 years, the majority of those years have had many months that are in the 6s and 7s. Like 6s and 7s is
It's
healthy.
normal.
It's
Yeah, okay.
normal.
Yeah.
The problem is we're just coming out of this 4 or 5 year stretch of 2s and 3s, and you have this generation of home buyers, I feel, that are coming into their own that were in that time, and now they're like, oh, well.
We're those same rates.
Yeah.
Right.
They're trying to time the market, which to me is the worst thing to do is because, you know, I have buyers when I started in real estate 5 years ago that are still trying to time the market and waiting for it to go down. And I'm like, that house that you wanted to buy in 2019, that was 185,000 is now 310,000.
That's your down payment now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you were
So,
saying that we're like average home price. I think when you first started was like right that 175 ish,
175
and now it's like the
to
250, 300.
250 is
Yeah.
probably normal, like average in our area, and even higher than that maybe for anything that's not a fixer upper.
Right.
You're over 300, and even 300s now are almost fixer uppers.
Well, I think you were touching on like people selling. This is a fantastic time because right now I think the majority of people think that rates are still 8-10%, whatever they thought. And that's slowing down the number of people that are offering on houses. But the people out there are super qualified right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like the people that are putting offers in right now are strong buyers. They're the ones that have gone through it all. They're the ones that have the patience that have gone through 20 offers and now they're good buyers.
Yeah.
So you have a better chance of getting your offer accepted by a good buyer right now than I think ever before.
So let's talk about that. The mortgage rates and prices, what advice do you have to home buyers right now?
I'm going to let them answer this one.
Yeah.
I'll just say one thing. It's not you're not buying a coffin. It's not 30 years. You got to be looking at a 5 to 7 year plan.
Okay.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, elaborate just a little bit more because I like that tagline. This isn't a coffin. This isn't a death wish.
No.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of first-time home buyers, they're thinking, $350,000, 7%, 6.5%. Like, this is the rest of my life right now.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not.
I mean, that was the same thing for me. I've always been a renter. Still, I just turned 40 last week. You know what I mean? And for me, just holding off, you know what I'm saying, is intentionally because I didn't want to be locked to some space. I travel so much. I'm mobile. Now going in the next year, I'm looking to get a place. But that was one of the reasons why I'd been so hesitant, to be locked into a space, a community for an extended period of time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, a lot of people think that they're spending money on a house. I always try to equate looking at a house like your 401k. Like, do you feel bad when you put money into your 401k every month? No, because that's for the greater good. Your house appreciates, depreciates, moves very similar to a 401k. When you're putting money into it, you're just tying it up in a solid asset that you can't go buy pizza with it or something.
Right.
But it's appreciating in value just like a 401k. The value is going to go up and down every month a little bit, but overall, if you look at your 401k, if you give it a few years, whatever, it's up. That's how houses work.
Yeah.
So in very worst, if your life changes in 4 years, 5 years, you can resell that thing, get that money back.
Yeah, I like how you're comparing it to an investment. It really is an investment. It's a lot of people tell you for 99% of the people in the United States, it's the greatest investment they're going to have. I know Justin here said up and down, like a 401k, but really houses don't go down. They only appreciate. There have been a couple of really, really unique market conditions over the last 40 years. 2 of them, in fact, where we've seen some depreciation, but for the most part, it's been just appreciation. You can't lose out in a house. You can't.
Well, in the last 30 years, we've seen 2 of the biggest economic events in the housing. We saw the 08, and now we saw the 2020-21 thing.
Yep.
Which were complete opposites of each other. And when I say up and down, I mean on the average rate of appreciation over the last 20 years in a house is about 3%. I mean, some of those years we saw 18% appreciation.
Right,
Some of them we saw only 1%.
Okay.
When I'm just saying when you average it, it's not going to appreciate the same rate every year.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So you're going to see
still
some
like
fluctuations.
compounding interest, though.
Correct.
Essentially, because if it appreciates 3%, then next year, and then at 3% more.
On top of that 3%,
Yeah, exactly. So appreciating value.
Yeah,
for the most
I
part.
appreciate the appreciation.
I appreciate this conversation. I'm learning so much right now.
And I appreciate that.
Yes. And so there was another conversation that you had. I was talking to you, a couple of days ago, and it's like, I'm looking to buy a house. And the first thing was go for pre-approval.
Yeah,
so
you
I
gotta
go
get
to
your
somebody like
pre-approval.
these guys over here.
Yep.
And we go for the pre-approval. Now, we can also refinance down the road, which also could be a strategy for success right now. Can you explain
100%.
that?
Well, I mean, you think about it is, sometimes, lending has seasoning periods and other stuff like that. But if you buy a house, generally 6 months later, if rates are down, you can refinance out of that and get a much lower rate. So again, houses are appreciating, meaning values are continuing to rise.
Yep.
So the longer you wait to buy the house, the more the house is going to cost. Interest rates, as he mentioned, go like this.
Up
Your
and
house
down.
doesn't get more expensive once you have your locked in interest rate. So you play that market, and if the interest rates are down in the 4s again, which I think it might get there, but I don't know, that's kind of a stretch.
Right. Not
But if it
guaranteed.
gets to 4s and you're at 6.5 or 7, well, that's a huge.
That's huge.
That's like giving yourself a raise
It is.
just by refinancing.
Yeah.
What we try to look at too is if you're 2 years into your mortgage and it drops down to 4, you're at 6. What if let's talk about a 19-year mortgage,
Right.
a 22-year
Yeah.
mortgage. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times people can save money and move ahead
Yep.
at the same time,
Yep.
which is I call it the warm and fuzzy. It's win-win.
Or
Yeah.
if you can make that payment at 6.5%, then it goes to 4.5%. You continue to make that same payment. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Now your house is paid off in 10 years shorter. Or
15,
something.
20 years. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. So
Yeah.
you keep making the payment. You just own the house sooner.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, rents most likely are going to continue to rise.
Right.
Right.
And there's going to be at some point where even if a mortgage payment is higher than your rent, I mean, that rent at some point is going to be higher than that mortgage payment if you lock it in today. And then you're going to be that day, you're going to be like, shit.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's almost happening. I mean, even for me,
Yeah.
I pay a decent amount of rent every month.
Yeah, you get to that point where you're like, now it just
Yeah, now
almost
I'm
makes
like,
too
well, I
much.
might
I
as well
can
get a
make this. I
mortgage.
can make a mortgage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So,
wish I would have pulled the trigger years ago.
yeah, and that's where I'm starting to get to. So, speaking about that, so let's say pay to play, down payment assistance. Can you speak to that? Because, getting to a home, you might need that, right?
So there's one of the advantages of working for a broker is all the different mortgage options that are out there. Counties have different down payment assistance. We got NeighborWorks here in Green Bay, which is, if you qualify for it, I mean, there are qualifications you need, but that's $7,000 that you can put towards closing cost down payment. And it's not just down payment assistance. We've got options like WIDA, Chinoa, zero down options. Chinoa's a zero down FHA option. FHA 100's a lender option where they will do a second mortgage. So you can do 100%. You're only covering the closing costs. WIDA's great if it's structured correctly and you qualify. You can actually cover a down payment for an FHA or conventional. They got both options.
and the closing costs.
And the closing costs. Yeah, so you're bringing nothing. You can literally bring nothing to the table and own a house.
And you can still layer that with additional down payment assistance from, say, NeighborWorks. So, I mean, we've seen people get closing cost down payment covered and then like another $8,000 towards the equity of the house. So, I mean, there are like so many layers out there that you can do.
Yeah.
That's one of the luxuries of working with us. That's what we work with. We want to have all those different options so that we can pass them on to the customer and be like, here's your options. What's going to work best for you?
I have a couple other things that I wanted to hit on. Speaking about renting, obviously that is a strategy that people play. It can be a benefit, especially with low inventory.
You have
And
to
if
live somewhere.
You have to live somewhere.
Yep.
And so, I don't know. I think just talking about that, I mean, obviously there's properties out there.
For sure.
Where do you see this changing in the community here from renters to buyers? Have you seen any drastic changes within the market as of late?
As I say, there was a lot of investors that came in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just I'd like to keep the money as local as possible.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think
And that's a big conversation. We could unpack a whole episode on
I
that.
know you guys because you focus a lot on those kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an investor myself, so it's kind of like one of those things where you want to, of course, I'm planning my future and my retirement through investment property. That's how I do it. I don't do the 401k traditional route. So there's a fine balance there, becoming too high, in your market and not being able to, have affordable housing. There's obviously the stigma of affordable housing being bad. Where you have bad tenants in there, and certainly you run the risk. I mean, the percentages greatly rise as you lower the rents, and you're taking a much higher risk at that point. So there is that. So people who complain about affordable housing, you also have to realize landlords have been burned plenty of times by providing just that affordable housing, and so then they're like, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. And, I mean, I preach this all the time. If one of my properties is making me $1 a month, off of rent income, great, because somebody's paying my mortgage down, somebody's living, and it's affordable. Would I like to make more? Of course, but if that property is what it is and it's making me $1, I'm okay with that. But those are the big issues that come into. So yeah, until we back to that point, until we solve the affordable housing crisis, we aren't going to be able to. The rents are just going to be what they are. They're going to continue to rise. They're going to continue to do that. And then buying your own house, if you damage your own house, well, that's on you. Yeah. It's not somebody else's.
And how are you guys seeing that impact Wisconsin? We got low inventory, housing crisis. We have an increase of non-traditional market where renters are staying renters for longer periods of time. I know we talked about like how communities are going to change over the next 10 years, what are some of the things that we're seeing that are up and coming to kind of find a solution for some?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
They're figuring out ways to get, make, buildings easier to build. So they're figuring that out. Supplies, we don't have the COVID, supply chain block anymore. So supplies costs are going down. So there is some movement in that way. There is an emphasis now on affordable housing. There's grants and other stuff like that. So I won't even get into the government and relying on the government. If you really want to take care of yourself, don't rely on the government to take care of you, because they're not going to. As long as you can get creative and you can hustle, there's ways to make money. And you don't have to do it illegally either.
No, that's actually really good. And one thing that you touched on, which is the last thing that I have, is obviously people are really focused on, or not obviously, but non-traditional market. People are creating new business opportunities with short-term rentals, investing in things like Airbnb properties. If anybody's out there listening, I'm sure there is. If they want to get started in that journey, what does that look like? And from your perspective, is there any helpful solution
Patience.
that you have from your Yes.
I mean, seriously, like
Yeah.
if you get all your finances in order and you're like, I want to get into a rental property, give yourself a year to 2 years. It's no different than becoming a real estate agent, I'm sure, a loan officer or anybody like that. You're not going to build your business in one day. It's not, flips are the short-term gratification, right? Like 2 to 3 months, you get some money. It feels great.
Yep.
Long term, the real money is really in the long term. The patient aspect of it is: can you ride out tenants? Can you ride out, repairs and just the little tiny annoying things that come in with it? And short term rentals is like quick, fast money. Generally, really pretty good, but it takes a lot more to get a short term rental up, and you need to have extra capital because you have furnishings and you have to make everything really nice. Whereas a rental, you have a long term rental, you have. You want to make it nice and livable, but it doesn't need to be pristine. And you're not getting rated on every single person that walks into that house.
Well, the taxes to do short term too, to advertise it to be part of the system.
Yep.
There's fees right there.
Yeah, it's an extra 15% because you have lodging taxes and you have everything else. Plus your cleaning, you have cleaning fees, you have all the extra fees. So you really got to have your ducks in a row. It's certainly not something you get into as a rookie.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a lot of people who get frustrated. They leave the short-term rental thing. I think the market's a little saturated right now too. But it can be done. It's great. It's rewarding. It's really good. But also at the same time, it's like, make sure you're patient and you got your ducks in a row because if you're not, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything to add to that before we flip it and you guys take over the show?
Yeah, from an investment standpoint, we've got. Like I said earlier, we've got all kinds of options. There's standard conventional investment options, DSCR loans, which debt service credits. I don't remember exactly what ratio, but I don't deal in those. But Aaron Kramer over in our office is an expert at them. He's been doing them for years, and
that's based on rental income.
It is.
They don't look at
anything. There's like this property makes this much money. Here's your loan.
Yep.
It's pretty simple.
As long as the title's clear, the appraisal comes back good. I'd say the only downfall is sometimes if the property is too rural, it makes it a little tricky for that.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And the rates are typically a little bit higher, right?
Yeah, you're looking at what, half to a point higher?
Yeah,
but they're fixed. They're 30-year commercial loans, 30-year fixed. That's unheard of.
That's unheard of.
Most commercial loans are 5-year balloons and they're amortized over 20, which means 20-year repayment plan. But every 5 years they come back in and say, hey, what's the market? Do we raise your rate? Do we keep it the same?
Yep.
Yeah.
These are just boom, 30-year fixed.
That's
so
awesome.
Investors, that creates more profit margin too.
Okay.
And more reliable profit margin because you can refinance those, take cash out, whatever you want there. So from an investment standpoint, they're very powerful if you want like a consistent, predictable portfolio.
Then you just said it. It's really those are for portfolio builders, not the 1-2 offs. But I mean, you go down that road and you're looking to go down that road, you're going to hear about DSCR loan. You have to because it's the new thing in investment.
You want to have that. You want to have that tool you want to have that arrow in your quiver for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome.
So basically you guys are just saying, call us, we get creative.
Yeah.
We're not like a one-stop shop. We can make things happen.
Honestly, just like if you have questions, we don't charge to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, give us a call. My wife's like, stop talking about mortgages. I'm like, I need people to talk to mortgages about.
Now we flip it like we told you guys. It's your turn to take over the podcast, ask us questions.
I'm sweating.
Right off the bat, with me starting this new marketing thing that's going on. What kind of unique things are you doing to promote yourself marketing wise? Maybe something that I could take away from this.
What can I steal from you?
Yeah. We have some really exciting things happening here. We really look at ourselves as a media house that just happens to be selling homes. Okay. And so what that means to us is we primarily focus on the storytelling. We know that there is a community-driven focus here. And so for us to build relationship is key. So whether it's a realtor building a relationship in the community with a potential, home buyer, or it's us building a partnership like with you in the studio today, I really want to create safe places for our community to come together and shine a light on what makes this place so special to live. Again and again and again, Green Bay and the whole Northeast Wisconsin area is talked about as being somewhere special to visit. And so to be able to shine
and to live. I mean, we're recognized, like last year we're number one, this year we're 3.
Exactly. So let's
still number 1.
Let's tell those stories, right? And let's tell those stories not just through the eyes of our organization and our brand. As we develop our brand, of course, looks really good in the first 6 months, but I'm really excited to see what happens when our realtors go and start sharing that story, when our partners start sharing the stories of being in the studio and really creating that community here through our local events. So, for example, we have Stroll in the Streets coming up this Saturday. We partnered up with Kevin Berry, one of our realtors, used to play for the Packers. He also has Own the Night with Adam. We're going to do a bus tour in Ledgeview with Stroll Magazine.
So if you guys have any buyers that are looking in Ledgeview, get them on the
buyers
bus.
in Ledgeview, or even interested in just checking the community out, you know, if you go to our new website, we really make our website a really great hub for you to get all the information on who we are, what makes us unique, different from everybody else. And you'll see immediately when you get out there that not only are we talking a different tone, but it's authentic. It's real. And I think, honestly, people want to hear real stories is because they want to build real connections. Today in our society, we have such a strong focus on social media. Yeah, this is the very tool that kind of keeps us apart. And so when I think about marketing, I think about building relationships.
Like, and again, this goes back to where it all started, is that icky feeling I get at closing when I don't see somebody ever again. And it's like, I never want to, I always want people to like be involved and excited about who we are. So it's more about building fans than it is clients. And like, I want people to like love what we do. And we're doing a great job of that. Not everybody, I'm sure, but like the people who interact with us love what we're doing. You see it all the time on the streets and all that other stuff. And it's, you know, it's just providing that extra value, that extra resource that, again, they know they can come to me and I have a guy. Like I have a guy who has a guy that can help them with whatever. Oh, we have a tool. We need a tool. I got you.
Yeah, that's cool. I like
moving trucks. You know, we got party. Oh, I don't want to go buy 5 tables and 50 chairs to go throw a party. No, just come pick them up.
We'll have Tobin deliver them.
Yep.
Tobin time.
Wait, what?
Tobin time delivery.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to create lifelong relationships.
Yeah.
And so for somebody to belong or be a part of something, that sets us apart already, right? So
I appreciate hearing that. That's,
You know, being part of the community and your outreach. When you guys come up with an idea on something, is this like the company's like round table, like, hey, we should do this? Or like, do you have like one person's like, we're doing this, and everybody else is like, okay. You know?
No, not really. I think for the most part, I mean, of course, me being the guy, like I get to say yes or no in certain cases, but I rarely do that. I think, you know, their ideas are all listened to. It's all really good. And a lot of times it's not now. It's, you know, just not yet. Right. Like, you know, it's not no forever. You know, unless it's something I've already tried and it failed miserably, which I've done plenty of that. So I think, it's definitely a round table. It's a collective. Everybody's unique. You know, it's Anthony's got a unique perspective on things. Rob's a little more analytical, but has great ideas, and that's who you want in operations. And then Matt and Jackie, my business partners, always are coming up with different things, you know, and our agents too. So when they come to us, it's like, I'm all ears for any idea that can help us grow and be different. And I think we do a good job of that. You know, and it's important to have that. I never want to be the guy that knows everything, because I don't. And I realized that real early. And, you know, I have a huge visionary mindset, and I can see things. I can't always put them together. So I throw it out there as ideas. Like I'll just talk. I talk my ideas out. Everything comes out, and then it's their job to grab it and kind of like, okay, let's put this one here, put this one over here. And then I see how they're putting it together. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I can go like that.
Like an idea Nerf gun. Boom, boom, boom.
It really is. And so we're able to collectively, like this podcast studio was my idea. And then Rob and Anthony took it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
You know, and so
Putting the right people in
brokerage,
play,
the logo.
Exactly.
You know how that works. So
I'm gonna say I'm not the smartest man, but I'm smart enough to surround myself with people who are.
When you get in the weeds as a business owner, and you can really get in the weeds, and you get tunnel vision, and you're only looking at the bottom line or the dollars coming in. And so we brought Carrie Giacaris in from Simply Carrie, and she gives us like kind of like that 1,000-foot view of like, okay, yep, you guys are doing this, you're doing this. And then Amy, the one that from South Dakota, who really kind of gave the idea of the moving truck and other things. She's been amazing as far as like just a little bit, half an hour sessions every couple of weeks. We check in with her, and every single time I walk away from that meeting going, holy shit, like you're 10 years ahead of me on everything. She kills it. So
sometimes it makes you feel like motivated. Sometimes it makes you feel small.
Yeah. I mean, no, it just shows me like there's a lot more to go. You know, it's like we're still babies. I mean, we're literally, I think we're 8 months old. We're still shitting our pants.
I just
like,
celebrated
that's
6
literally
months
what
here.
it
You know
is.
what I mean? Like, jeez,
I'm a
6
big
months last
kid
week.
now.
Yeah, right. Like we just got pull-ups maybe if we're advanced. So
Well, you always have to have that mentality because, like, as soon as you think that you've done it all, or you're like, this is it,
Right.
like, that's when you stop growing.
Yeah.
You can't ever stop growing. I mean,
Right.
we've grown more in the last 4 years as a society with like the advent with COVID, just everything. Like, if you are not growing, you're dying, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, for sure.
And that's exhausting.
Yeah.
Life is exhausting. So let's get the close in.
Yeah,
Let's get
where can
all
they
the
find you
info.
guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where can we find you?
Well, executivemortgagegb.com is our website. Feel free to look at that. We've got a nice blog, informational stuff. We're at 909 East Walnut Street. You guys we accept walk-ins. Just come on into the pink
Hey, if
building.
you guys see this episode and want to get pre-approved, there's going to be a little QR code down here.
Right
We have the QR code
Right
now.
Yeah.
I'll
Tobin
forward that
Dunn
over.
QR codes. Sounds good.
Be on the lookout for Chris launching his marketing campaign right about this time when this episode releases.
April 1st. April 1st is the first full month of it being scheduled.
Let's
We're going to
go.
have workout Wednesdays.
Kicking off the rest of my life on April 1st.
Unfortunately, Chris decided to allow us to do his marketing campaign at his expense. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a mistake, but we're just running with it.
That's a
Just
funny
run
way to
with
say
it.
you're welcome.
I look at it more like closing my eyes and running into a brick wall, but we'll see what happens.
Hey,
See what happens.
hey, if it doesn't work, you can chalk it up as that was a bad idea and
Move on to the next
New one.
thing.
Move on to the next thing.
Yep.
Speaking of the next thing, you also mentioned rebuilding together. How can we get over there?
I'd have to give you some names.
Yeah, that's
they
fine.
They do some stuff during the year. They've got their National Rebuilding Day, which is coming up beginning of May, which is when they really hit it. This year, we are going to, I forget the name of the nonprofit, but they've got a pretty rundown building. So it's a nonprofit this year helping nonprofit, which is really cool. There's
awesome.
probably going to be about, I want to say they're scheduling for about 60 people to be in there on that one day. Yeah, and we're just gonna fix up the area.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I
that's a
have-
really cool thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would assume they can just reach out to you if somebody wants to get involved, and then you can point them in the right direction.
Absolutely, they could, and they're always looking. They're always looking for skilled trades.
Thank you guys so much for coming in for this week's of It's Your Neighbor podcast. All the information will be below. You can also go to tarealtygroup.com. My name is Anthony Alvarado, and this is
Monte Raymond. Give us a like, share, follow, and appreciate you guys for watching. Thank you so much.
awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Take it easy.